Hey guys, happy Thursday. We are going to look at how to simplify expressions today. We did this yesterday in Polypad with all of the shapes. Now we're going to try to do it without the shapes and just have the numbers and the variables. We're on page 3 in your binder. I gave you these new pages yesterday. You're expected to write down the notes as you listen to the video. If I go too quickly, pause the video and catch up and then restart. If I ask you to pause the video and do some questions on your own, I expect that you do that and then restart it to check your answers. If you make a mistake, you can just go back and fix it. All right, so we're on page 3 of your new notes, and we're going to be asked to simplify or simplifying expressions. Simplifying is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to make it shorter and easier. Sometimes you'll hear this called combining. I want you to add this to your paper. Like terms. We know combine means to put together. Like are things that are similar, and terms are part of a math problem. Our first definition, an expression is a mathematical phrase that can contain variables, constants, and operations. So let's talk about what the difference is. You guys know that variables, let's add a little chart up here. Variables are letters we use for unknown numbers. So that could be an X, that could be a Y, that could be any letter of the alphabet. It could also be, like we saw yesterday, a variable with a number in front of it. So those are variables. And then constants, you should be adding this to your page. A constant is just a number. That could be a positive number like 5. It could be a negative number. It could even be a fraction. Those numbers will never change. They are constantly the same value every time. So we call them constants. And then operations are all the things we do in math. So mostly adding and subtracting. We'll talk about division later and multiplication, but add and subtract are most of the operations we're going to be looking for. So our next direction says to use the expression below to label the various parts of the expression. So the 12. Well, is that a variable, a constant, or an operation? 12 is always 12. That is a constant. The plus. Plus tells us what to do. That is an operation. It's a verb. Nope, it's just one operation, not a lot. And then 6, the negative 6 and the x. All of this together is called a term. And the term has a variable. And here's one more vocabulary. Any number in front of a variable is called a coefficient. C-O-E-F-F-I-C-I-E-N-T. We remember in English or language arts, we know that anything that starts with a CO usually means with. So it's the number with the variable. All right. So when we simplify, we can only simplify things that are similar to each other. But we're going to have terms that are also not similar. We need to distinguish. So terms can be classified as like or unlike. And expressions can be simplified by combining the like terms, the ones that are similar. Like terms have to have the same variable. And that variable has to have the same exponent. Remember yesterday with the Polypad, we could only put the x's together, and then we could only put the y's with other y's. And then remember, x squared was a different shape than x, so x squareds were a little bit different than x's, and we couldn't combine those. Our example here, 7x and 9x are like, they both have an x in them. 4D and 4G are not alike because they have different variables, even though the 4's are the same. So our next task is to figure out if we have any like terms. So we have these 1, 2, 3, 4 items in our list. Which one of those are like the others? I can see a C here and a C there. So the 2 out of these 4 that are alike are 8C and negative 8C. They both have a C in them. Remember our rules is they had to have the same variable with the same exponent. How about the next one? I have 1, 2, 3 things in my list. Do any of them have the same exponent or the same variable? The 2 x's are the same, so those are my like terms. Next one, I have a 9y, a 5z, and a 9w. Do any of those have the same variable? They don't. So there are no or none. None of those are like the others. All right, one more together. 11g, 11, and negative 7g. Do any of those have the same variable? Yes, we've got an 11g and a negative 7g. Same variable is the rule. All right, I want you to pause the video, finish out the next 4, and then unpause to check your answers. Pause now. All right, for the one with the t's, you should have 0.5t and 1.5t. You should have 1m and m. They both have the same variable. 4b, b, and 9b. And then the last one was a little tricky because 0 and negative 8 don't have any variables, and that actually is what makes them similar. They're both just constants, so we could eventually add those together or subtract them. So when they don't have any variables, that also makes them alike. All right, in our second table, we have to just say like or unlike. Those are our 2 choices. We don't have to list them out. We just have to say, yes, they're alike or no, they're not. So 29 and 29 squared. They don't have any variables. Because they don't have any variables, that makes them like one another. I could actually add those together if I wanted to. B and 3b, they both have the same variable. Those are like. 6 and 9, no variables, so that makes them like each other. Negative 3r and negative 3p do not have the same variable, so they are unlike. All right, one more. 13k and 13k squared. They do have the same variable, but remember there was a second part of our rule. They also have to have the same exponent. These have different exponents. The first one has an exponent of 1, even though we don't write it in, and the second one has an exponent of 2, so they're actually unlike. All right, same thing. I want you to pause, finish off the rest, and then unpause to check your answers. Pause now. Okay, our C's are unlike because even though they both have a C, one has a different exponent. Our next row of C's are alike because they're all just C's, even though the numbers in front are different, that's okay. And then the bottom row, they're like each other because they don't have any variables, so that makes them similar to each other. So our 2 big rules have to have the same variable and they have to have the same exponent. Let's keep going to the next page. Only like terms can be combined. Or added. The Robinson family ordered snacks at the state fair. They bought the following drinks. We're going to use the letter D for drinks. Pizza, we're going to use the letter P. And ice cream, we're going to use the letter C. Write an expression, that means like a mass sentence, to represent their purchase. So P for pizza, pizza, drink, drink, ice cream cone, Pizza, pizza, drink. So our expression is P plus P plus a drink plus another drink, ice cream, pizza, ice cream, more pizza, and one more drink. Now let's simplify it. It says to simplify. Let's count up all the like things. How many pizzas do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pizzas. So we had 5 pizzas. And so it's a plus. We had 3 drinks. And we had 2 ice creams. And that's as far as we can go. We can't put pizzas with drinks. We can't put drinks with ice cream, so that's as far as we can go with that one. Let's do the same thing down here without the pictures. So we've got 3 things. We've got a 7a, we've got a -6, and an 8a. I want you to think about terms being everything that's separated by a plus or a minus. Of those 3 things, which ones can we put together? So we're going to put the 7a, I want you to put a box around it. And then we can put that with the 8a because they both have an a. When you box this up, I want you to box it with that plus sign in front of the 8. The plus is a driver. It tells you what to do. So let's put our boxes together. 7a plus 8a minus 6. I just moved this up here so it's with the 7. So these are both a's. I have 7 and then I have 8 more, so that makes a total of 15 a's. Now remember, our 6s, they're a different kind of thing. Like in our polypad, they were different shapes. So we're just going to put that at the end at -6. And that's as far as we can go. That's our final answer. We just put the a's together. Let's try another one. We've got 14b plus a 6b and a -12. Are there any that have the same variable? Yes, the 14b and this the plus 6b. So let's put a box around it. Remember to put any operation in the box in front of it. All right, so we're going to put 14b plus 6b. 14 and 6 more make 20b. And we can't combine the -12 because he doesn't have a b. So he gets written on at the end, and that's it. That's our final answer. Just like yesterday in polypad, we put the same shapes together, and the shapes were the same because they had the same letter. All right, how about 3? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things in my expression. Do I have any more C's besides the 20? I do. I have a 10, so put the plus with it. Let's go ahead and write those down. 20C plus 10C. Now I'm out of C's, so I'm going to need a different shape. I'm going to put the 8D and the -5D in a circle so I don't get those mixed up with my C's. Now I'm going to write those at the end. Plus 8D minus 5D. Notice this was a minus, so I made this a minus. Whatever operation's in front of the number, it stays with it. All right, let's put our C's together. 20C and 10C is 30C. 8D minus 5D would just be 3D. And since that 3 is a positive, I'm going to put a plus there. That's it. We took 4 things and shrunk it down to 2 things. All right, if you need to take a brain break, you can pause the video for like 15 seconds and then come back and keep going. All right, welcome back. We've got 6 more. I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to make you pause the video and you finish off the last 4, and then we'll be done with this for this activity and you'll move on to your next thing. I'm going to jump ahead to number 8 because that has fractions, and sometimes fractions make people nervous. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 things in our list. I see some H's. I've got a 1/2. I've got a 2H. Notice how I'm putting the plus in front of it in the box. And I've got a 3/2. Let's put those together. 1/2 plus 2 plus 3/2. Well, that's going to be 2.5 plus 1.5 more is going to be 4. So that's 4 H's. You guys can start using your calculators again. That'd be fine. The -1, he doesn't have any variables, so he just gets tagged on at the end, and that's all we can do with that one. All right, let's try number 6. Let's go back up to 6. I see some F's, a constant, another F, and another constant. Let's put our F's together. So put a box around the -4F, a box around the -F. Let's write those together. Notice if it had a negative up here, I'm going to put a negative in front of it down here. If it has a minus in front of it, I put a minus in front of it in my new expression. All right, these two, the -9 and the 15, those don't have any variables, which means I can put those together. They're just numbers. So -9 plus 15. Put those at the end. All right. Let's put these together. My F's and F's. I have -4F minus F, which is also a -1. There's supposed to be a 1 in front of there. We just don't typically write it. There's a -1. So what is -4 minus 1? On a number line, both of your arrows would be going to the left. So we're actually going to have -5F, and then let's put these together. I take away 9, but I add 15, or I lose 9, but then I get 15 back. So really, I'm only at +6. I gain 6 because I'd really subtract those two. And then that's all we can do. I can't put F's with the 6. I can't put the -5 and the 6 together because one has a variable and one doesn't. All right, so there are 4 left. I want you to pause the video, try those on your own, and then come back and check your answers. Pause now. All right, let's see how we did. For number 4, you should have gotten 0D, which is also just 0. You don't have to write the D if you don't want to. -3 plus 8C would be 5C. Or D, sorry. And then -5 would be 0. All right, number 5, you should have put the E's together. 3E minus 7E would be -4E. And then -19 or -19 plus 10 would be -9. Since they have one's a minus and one's a plus, we're going to subtract them. For number 7, you should have gotten your G's together, so that would have been 8G. And then -10 and -3 would be -13. And then 9, you can put all 3 of your J's together. 4.2 plus 6.7 minus 5 would be 5.9J. And then -5 at the end. That last 5 doesn't have a variable, so he just gets put on the back. All right. I want you to write a sentence summarizing the big ideas for today, and then unpause the video and compare what you wrote to what I wrote. So pause now and write me a summary. All right, check what you wrote. You should have something about like terms must have the same variable with the same exponent, and then you also should have something about you can add or subtract numbers that have the same variable. All right, that is it for the notes. The next page is what you're going to work on next. What's a pig with 3 eyes? To work this puzzle, you're going to do what we just did, and then you're going to find your answer at the bottom. I'll do a couple with you to get you started, and then you'll unpause and keep going on your own. So the first one is 6a minus 9a plus a. You guys remember that we don't have to have a number, or if there's not a number in front of a variable, we know it's a 1, so that's really a 1a. These all have an a in them, so we can just combine the numbers. 6a minus 9a plus 1a. So 6 minus 9 is -3, plus 1 is -2a. That's our answer. So let's go down to the bottom. Whoops. Do you see a -2a anywhere? Should be right here. So we're going to color this section in. And once we finish, then that will make a shape for our answer. It's going to kind of create some letters. All right, next one. -x and 3x, they both have x's. So remember there's a 1 in front if we don't see a letter or a number. So -1 plus 3 is 2x. And then I can combine my numbers. -9 plus 8 would really just be -1. So come down here, we've got 2x minus 1. Let's look for that one. It's right here. So we're going to color this box. All right, I'll do a couple more. Let's look at 11. What happens when we have exponents? They work the same way. So both of these have y squareds in them, so I can combine them. -18 plus 15, or -18 plus 15 would be -3y squared. We don't have to square anything. We don't have to multiply it by itself. That answer is right here. How about number 12? 6m minus m. Remember, when there's not a number, it's a 1. So we're just doing 6 minus 1. It's easy. That's 5, and the variable is m. He's hiding over here. All right, last example. How about we do 15? Remember, there's not a number, it's a 1. So we're going to do 1t minus 2t. 1 minus 2 is -1, and it has a t. The plus 3, he can't be combined with anybody, so he just gets added on at the end. So we're looking for -1t plus 3. He's right here. They just didn't put the 1, which is okay. All right, you're going to keep going, and as you color in all of the boxes, there will be boxes that are empty, and those empty boxes should show you a word, and that word will be the answer to the riddle. So do as much as you can in class, and then finish it up for tomorrow, and then we'll talk about it in class. Do your best, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.